just keep pushing without subtleties, and I can't stop laughing.
Welcome to this episode of High Waves. I'm Tom Whalen here with Leigh McGinnis. We're excited to bring you another podcast. We have a great interview from Michael Strider. We have sports with Alex J. So, Leigh, how was your week? What have you been up to?
Oh, man. Hell of a week. Me and a buddy of mine, we drove up to Toronto. We stopped in, we only made it about 9 hours to Rivière-du-Loup. We stopped there for a bit. Then we made our way to Montreal. We were going to hit up some strip clubs, and that didn't end up happening. We ended up just getting drunk across the street. Then realized, holy fuck, we got back, and you know, it was pretty much a shithole in a really nice area.
Oh, really?
But we realized there was 4 bullet holes in the ceiling.
Oh my gosh! This is at the bar or the hotel?
Splatter. Yeah, this was at the hotel.
There were bullet holes and blood splatter.
Yeah. So
oh my God!
Kind of freaky, and I'm like, Jesus, we got to get the fuck out of here.
What did that place
cost
tonight?
An inside job. Oh, it was only like $130 a night, but still,
$130 a night. Wow.
My bed was broke. There was bullet holes in the fucking ceiling, and so Montreal didn't go over so well. We had fun, at least, getting drunk.
Oh my gosh.
That's the main thing. And then we drove on through to Toronto. Had a blast there. My cousin Mike ended up scoring his tickets for the Guns N' Roses show on Monday night.
Wow, I bet that was
phenomenal concert.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, you can check out. I got a few pics up on my Facebook page there. And, yeah, that was just incredible. Kind of fluked out because I didn't know they were playing at first. Yeah, I ended up getting two stage side tickets. So that was a blast. It was my buddy's first concert he was ever at, so it'll be pretty hard to top that.
Yeah.
Original lineup of Guns N' Roses. They nailed her. They played for over 3 hours straight. No opening acts. Really good concert for anybody that hasn't seen that show yet. Not in This World. It's a hell of a fucking show. Then I hosted a Halloween party with 4 great bands. There was Portland TV, and Cherry Hooker, The Knees Up, and the New Dogs. A really great bunch of people. We had a blast that night. Donna was out with me, Dirty Donna. Witch and Bitchin' Donna. She was all done up as a witch and trying to pick people up.
Nice. So did Donna get laid that night?
Donna did not. I don't know. You'd have to ask her. I don't know. I'm sure she did. And then she might have pulled one of those singers out behind the dumpster for $50.
Oh, jeez.
From Portland TV, but you never know.
Well, it sounds like you had quite a week.
I had another. We went on through to Niagara Falls, and on the 2nd, I had another show. That was awesome. I was actually up doing, telling stories and stuff for that one, so I had a slot to fill and introduce the bands. And again, Dirty Donna was with me, and she was riding the bull and stuff. They had a mechanical bull there, and it looked like a lot of fun. I tried it earlier in the night. So, yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like
it. All.
As everybody can hear, the audio in this one is it's a little messed up. We're not at our home studio there. We're kind of a couple 100 kilometers apart here. We're recording over our cell phone with a program called ACR, which seems to be working pretty great. We're still working out a few bugs with it and learning how to use it, but it's great to have this tool that we're able to record our guests with, and as we learn, it's only going to get better. So, Leigh, since you were away for the week, I guess I'll fill you in on some of the top stories there. So, a man he accidentally shot himself in the penis after he robbed a hot dog stand.
Oh my fuck! Holy shoot! Shot himself in the
Yeah,
He robbed a hot dog
stand and shot himself in the penis.
Jesus, robbing weeders.
Yeah.
What you get for robbing weeders?
Yes.
You end up shooting yourself in your own.
So there's also another thing. There's a company that's going to give 6 extra vacation days to employees that don't smoke. So there's a lot of heat stirred up about that. People say it's discrimination, it's unfair. I mean, I kind of smoke. Well, I guess I vape. So I guess that kind of makes me part homosexual, which I'm not. But I stopped smoking, so I don't know if I'd be eligible for those extra 6 days or not.
Where's this company? What's this
Well, this
company's
company's
called?
from Japan, but there's a lot of companies around the States that are now looking at the same policy. So it's going to be interesting to see if something like this actually comes up and becomes a thing. And if it does, it's going to be interesting to see all these internet trolls and activists, and not that internet trolls and activists are the same thing, but just anybody that likes to bitch about. It's going to be interesting to see what they say about this when it comes out.
Yeah.
I have 2 more news stories. One, this is very important. I mean, Donna probably already has one of these on order, but the sex robots that are self-lubricating are set to be released just in time for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people won't have to worry about spending Christmas alone as long as you can afford one of these dolls. The prices aren't out yet. They're probably significantly more than a prostitute. And there's nothing in the article about how long the battery life is going to last, but it's probably going to outlast most people.
Yeah. Dear, I want a sex robot for Christmas. We could have a little fun time.
There you go.
Sex robot, baby.
And and one last thing.
She's just shaking her head.
A lot of our listeners might not understand this one, but Halifax Police, we're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, they have these voluntary surrender events. And basically what these are, all these criminals, well, not really criminals, anybody with any outstanding warrant all get together for a party. There's like coffee and Timbits and things like that. And then at the end of the party, everybody gets arrested. So basically,
that's going to be the most screwed up thing I've ever heard in my life.
The news headline is "Police disappointed after no one shows up to voluntary surrender event." I would like to know what kind of turnout they were hoping for. Now, I think they had one before, and 2 or 3 people showed up and turned themselves in. I guess there's some benefit to it because you don't have to worry about them busting down your door at home or coming at work and getting you, and save yourself some embarrassment, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they should have had a better gift offering or something.
Yeah, I mean, if they had, like, if
maybe send them off on one last fucking tear, get them bagged up on the drug of choice, and then arrest them.
Exactly.
You probably would have had a lot more people show up.
Yeah, you need some incentive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in this podcast, we're going to have that interview with Michael Strider. I think I mentioned that earlier. We got the sports with Alex J., another segment of The Less You Know. It's Mitch Stone, and Leigh, he's a friend of Leigh and myself, and he's got a pretty good voice. He writes all his own songs. It's nice to see local talent, and we're going to have that in there as well.
Stone when he's singing? Oh, yeah, he's a friend of ours. Of course he is.
Not too sure how stoned he is while he's singing, but there may be some influences there. So yeah, this podcast is all set. We're going to get right to it, and we'll be back next week with another one. This one is a few days late. The next one will be out Friday, we hope.
You can blame that on me because I was out of town, so, I was gone for a week. Yeah,
it was kind of rough. I mean, Leigh was up there in Toronto doing his thing, and he had to babysit Donna and make sure that she made it home as well. So it was, we'll cut him some slack on that one. And next podcast, we're going to hear all about Donna's adventures in great depth because we'll have more time.
Thanks for listening, everyone, to another HIGHwaves podcast. Peace out.
I'm Alex J. Walling with Speaking on Sports. Something I really enjoy in the world of sports is when new teams or teams that have never won a big prize win something. That's what happened to the Houston Astros. They came into being in 1961. Many people will not remember. They were called the Houston Colt 45s that first year. Just 1 year. maybe emblematic of the old Wild West in Texas. The year after, they became the Astros, as in astronauts. Well, 55 years is a long time. Houston had only been in the World Series once. In the early 2000s, they lost 4 straight games to the Chicago White Sox. So, this team had never won a game, much less a series. Well, they won a game. In fact, they won 4. What a memorable series. What a memorable Game 7. The Houston Astros are world champions for the very first time. As I said, I like to see new Stanley Cup champions. I was cheering for Nashville. And maybe a couple of new Super Bowl champions. After all, you get fed up of hearing the Lakers, the Pistons, anybody else, the Yankees. You can't say the Leafs. They haven't won in many, many years. Anyway, congratulations to the Houston Astros. When I think of the Astros, I think of J.R. Richard and Mike Scott and a couple of others, many, many others, over the span of 55 years. And it was really great to see Correa, the shortstop, propose at the end of the game, and the girl, she said yes. Winners all around. I'm Alex J. Walling, and that's Speaking on Sports.
And now it's time for The Less You Know, featuring some fun historic facts.
And shit we just made up because we got sick of surfing the internet.
Leigh, did you know that the practice of smoking opiums was introduced in the 1850s and 60s by Chinese laborers who came to work on the U.S. railroads?
No, I did not know that. I introduced smoking opium to myself back in 2004 when I lived in Iran.
You lived in Iran?
Yeah, I was there on a student work term when I was going to university in Finland, and one day I went downtown to try to get some hash, and I got this big block of, it looked like black tar. I knew it wasn't hash. I wasn't sure what I had, and my buddy at the time, he didn't know the name for it, so he got me to get him a piece of paper and a pen, and he drew an opium pod, and I was like, hallelujah. So he showed me how to smoke it properly, and he went in to take a big dump, and I was on about my 4th ball of opium, and he come out a freaking and was like, how much of this did you smoke? It's like, oh, this is about the 4th ball. He's like, oh man, like it doesn't hit you right away. It takes like 20 minutes to hit you. So he got me a bucket in case I threw up, told me to lay down, and then it hit me.
Did you throw up?
No, I didn't throw up.
Oh,
I just, I got like a acid backflash or something to a Pink Floyd, and I can remember laying there and it hit me, and just thinking how similar it was to the song "Comfortably Numb." My hands felt like 2 balloons. It's exactly what it was like.
Don't say any more than that, or they'll flag our podcast for copyright.
Oh shit! You don't want that.
So were you actually in Iran?
Yeah.
I never knew that. I knew you went to university. I didn't know you actually went to Iran.
Yeah, I went there to do waste management.
Right on, wow.
Yeah.
All right, so another fun fact. The practices of Halloween, and I actually never knew this. Some of them I kind of already knew, or I like to pretend I know, but this one was actually surprising, and it might surprise you as well. So the practices of Halloween mostly come from Celtic paganism in the British Isles. They believed that it was a time of year when ghosts and spirits came out to haunt, and the Celts would appease these spirits by giving them treats.
Yeah, I kind of knew that it came from Celtic paganism. And did you know that the witches were actually originally brewmasters, the women?
No, I didn't know that.
The hats, those big, tall black hats were worn to symbolize, so people looking for beer at the time, back in the Dark Ages, the brewers would wear these hats, and they were always women. And then the men got pissed off and wanted to be the brew masters, started burning them, and calling them heretics, or whatever that word is. and burning the poor bitches.
Oh, wow. So they're really the ones that started the beer.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty fascinating.
Well, Jesus, they had to do something to get the men drunk to go down on them.
Wow, the less
just
you
imagine
know.
how you know what an old 1620 friggin' snatch tasted like. You'd have to be awful drunk.
And this really is the less you know. Wow. So we got our celebrity birthdays for this segment of the less you know. And I think normally we just have one, but something just caught my eye, right? And I'm so caught up between the two of them because it's so funny. Now, we've got Simon Cowell, who's 58 now.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, he's 58.
Wow.
We also have Vladimir Putin. I think I said that wrong, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. He's 65.
Really?
Yeah.
Blonde-headed dude.
Yeah.
The Russian president.
Yeah, the world leader. I don't know which one people dislike more, Putin or Simon Cowell.
Oh. Well, two different, people altogether, really. I'm sure they can both be good people and real pricks, like everybody else.
Exactly. Simon Cowell would tell us that we are terrible. This is the worst podcast he's ever heard. And he might be right. I mean, we're just playing around, learning. Yeah. It's going to get better as things go, but for now, I guess that's all you can do.
Yeah.
All right, well, this has been another The Less You Know.
Right on, right on.
With us now is Mike Strider, well-known rock photographer who's worked with some huge names in the entertainment industry, as well as the founder of the Life After campaign. We'll get deeply into that shortly. Mike, thanks for taking the time to be with us here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Like most amateurs, I've done insufficient research to have this conversation with you and make people believe I have the slight idea of what I'm talking about. Did you ever think that this is something you'd be able to make a career out of like you have? I mean, your photography and what you do is probably the dream of most photographers. I mean, you can't get in any better spots than that.
Well, I mean, when I first started doing it several years ago, I really loved it. I actually started out by sneaking my camera in down the front of my pants into concerts, and I would make my way up to the stage somehow and, take pictures. And I just kind of fell in love with it from the start. And then a few years later, I started working for Ted Nugent. And Ted gave a friend of mine a photo pass for his concert. My friend got sick, so I had to take his place. And it just happened from there,
A lucky day. So that was the day that changed everything.
It sure was. I was with my fiance at the time, and I remember being in the pit taking pictures of him and thinking, man, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced in my life. It's amazing. It was probably one of the top 3 highs that I've ever had in my life. It was pretty amazing. Out of aside from sex and drugs, it was incredible. You can't really touch it, the high that you get.
Do you ever sit back and look at the things you've done and be like, wow, I can't believe that I've done this? Like, you look at some of your pictures and you're just like, holy fuck. I mean, like, coming from a small town, I'm from a small town myself, there's not a whole lot of opportunities there. Was there something, like, when you were growing up, what was the job you figured you'd have? Did you want to be like most people and have the dream of being a police officer? Were you willing to settle for, like, a door greeter at Walmart or something like that?
Or are you really, do you really work for Homeland Security, Michael?
Yes, I actually do. I never would have guessed that I would have gotten a job with Homeland, but I do.
What do you do with Homeland?
I'm in the Special Ops division.
Yeah.
So what do you do in Special Ops?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Ops?
I knew that question was going to come. Unfortunately, I can't get into it. I can't tell you details of it, but I mean, I love it. It's a great job, but I never would have guessed that I would have gotten involved with it. I didn't have any kind of experience as a police officer or anything like that before I became a federal officer.
So, of course, being a rock photographer and having been around all the things, the party scenes, the drugs, were you ever faced with personal addictions?
Most definitely. I would say I was very lucky to get through it. I mean, I didn't have as much of a problem as some people have had throughout life, Elvis or whoever, somebody like that. But yeah, I definitely had issues with drugs and with alcohol. Coming from that small town area that I came from and being exposed to so much so quickly.
I'd be head
yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Into it myself.
I did. I went in and enjoyed the drugs, the alcohol, the supermodels, the Playboy Playmates, whatever, everything that there was to offer. I overindulged in it.
Tell our listeners some of the big names that you've worked with, just to name a few. I know there's so many. We wouldn't have time to hear them all.
I mean, everybody from Kiss, Springsteen, Van Halen, Gwen Stefani, Barack Obama, both the Clintons.
And there's been some supermodels.
Oh, God, yeah, tons of supermodels. And
Nice.
just about every rock star from the 80s and 90s and 2000s, and a lot from the 70s, too.
So what was your most memorable, people you've met over the years?
God, some of the best times that I've ever had. There's so many amazing times, and then there was lots of horror stories. I would say the best times that I had actually shooting was probably with Kiss. Those guys are great in front of the cameras. Not so much off stage, but or backstage, but shooting live, they're really, really amazing. The Scorpions were great. Let's see, who else was really great? I mean, there's been so many. I've had some really, really, really scary times, also, but it's all part of it. It's part of, being a rock and roll photographer.
When you say the scary times, what does that mean?
I've been beaten several times, and I mean, there was a couple of times in huge crowds where there was like maybe RFK Stadium. I think it was 97 or 98 when the old original RFK was still there. I did a shoot. It was about 75,000, and at the time, I think that was the first tour of the Foo Fighters, and there was about 20 bands there. No Doubt was there. Foo Fighters, obviously. The crowd got way, way, way out of hand. I mean, it was almost 100 degrees all day for 10 hours. And so people are going crazy. Yeah, and they're smashed up against the stage, and you've got a row of photographers that are standing up on stage in front of in front of the crowd, and they're just going crazy, throwing stuff and coming over the top of the barricade, and it's pretty scary. I actually that night I wasn't sure I was going to make it out alive. It was pretty crazy. I mean, I've had stuff like, David Lee Roth pouring Jack Daniels on my camera and ruining it, stuff like that. But like it's all part of it,
I'd like to talk a bit about your project. And so the Life After project you started. Can you tell us a little bit about, what I call a truly amazing project? This is something I know that you're dear to your heart. And could you tell us some of the names, some of the people that are working with you on this?
I've been fortunate so far. We've gotten a lot of people that we've worked with, and we have a lot in store that's coming up. Some of the ones that I've worked with that have just been awesome. Cheech Marin, Cheech and Chong. Yeah. I did a photo shoot with. Yeah, he was. Oh my God, that was probably the most fun that I've ever had during a photo shoot, and there were no drugs involved. It was just amazing. No, can you believe it? We did it at his house with him and his beautiful wife Natasha, and they were just the absolute nicest people that I have just about ever met in my entire life. It was so amazing. So Cheech and Natasha are involved. I did one recently with an MMA champion, Frank Shamrock, the legend, they call him. Last night I did a really, really cool, fun shoot with a guitarist and singer. His name's Eric Dover. You should check him out. Yeah, check him out online. He is really incredible. He sang on Slash's first solo album, Slash's Snake Pit, and you should YouTube Eric Dover, Eddie Van Halen's party. He sang for Eddie at Eddie's backyard party. He was great. We did John Dinsmore, the drummer for the Doors, Danielle Harris, which is one of my good friends, and she's an actress. She's been in a ton of horror movies and other genres and stuff. I've shot several supermodels, and I have a really cool one coming up. Well, a couple of them. Mia St. John is a 5-time world champion boxer who lost her son to suicide, unfortunately. You can read her story up on the site right now. And Brigitte Kingsley, I've already done a photo shoot with her, but we're doing another one coming up probably in November or so that's going to be quite possibly one of the coolest shoots I have ever done in my career. Yeah, she's an actress and a director and producer in Canada, as a matter of fact. She's really, really an amazing person, and so I'm looking forward to that shoot. I think she's going to be on the live show when we do our live show coming up. She wants to be a guest on it with me as well.
Great,
so
yeah,
you guys will
awesome.
Love listening to her and listening to all of her cool stories.
Sweet.
But the project, you were asking me about the project. I started it. It's been probably almost 5 years ago. It's a very long, long process. Several years back, one of my childhood friends was bipolar, and his name was Matthew, and for several years he had been on like very, very strong drugs, and it was hard to get that stuff hard to get it balanced. Yeah. So he was basically, he was like a roller coaster. 1 minute he's up real high, the next minute he's down, then he's staying awake for 4 days straight, and he just got tired of taking it, so he just stopped taking it. He eventually, very, very soon afterwards, he shot himself. There are other reasons. Obviously, I was adopted when I was 6 weeks old, so I have, lived with depression here and there, and also, the reason for the project is to spread awareness to suicide prevention and substance abuse. So I definitely had my fair share of substance abuse. So I've got several reasons for doing it. But basically what we're doing is we're creating a tabletop book, coffee table book, if you will, of celebrities that are advocates for prevention, suicide prevention, and substance abuse. It's like I said, it's a very long process, but it's a lot of fun, meeting a lot of very, very interesting people, and
it sounds like
having some.
Way.
Yeah, we are. It's more difficult than I thought it would be. Obviously, a lot of people are scared to talk about suicide, and they're scared to talk about depression or scared to talk about drugs, and so you run into a lot of brick walls, a lot. So basically what I try to do is focus on the ones that we can get and not the ones that, that are not interested, that are kind of untouchable.
Right, yeah.
I had a very interesting meeting with attorney Robert Shapiro recently, and he's interested. He was part of the Dream Team, the OJ trial years ago, but his son overdosed. He owns Legal Shield. He's done a lot of stuff, and he has his own organization that spreads awareness and raises money for substance abuse.
Okay.
So we're probably going to donate to his organization. Plus, we're donating proceeds to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the Hope Squad, which they mentor to children in schools across the country.
That's a great project.
I think.
Glad to hear that there are people out there that are doing things to raise awareness. It is definitely something that I'm sure every single person in the world can relate to in some way. Everybody's faced with.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that walks the earth that hasn't had some kind of issue with depression, whether it's just teeny tiny or it's huge or whatever the case.
I understand that you were in Nova Scotia before, and that's where you met Leigh. What did you think of it here? Did you like it up here?
I loved it. I thought it was amazing. You remember when I got off the plane and I was like, dude, is this some kind of a dream world or something? Everybody seems to be really nice. It's a lot different. Absolute most amazing weeks of my entire life. Seriously. But I wanted to move there when I came back. You got to come out here too, to Los Angeles.
I really wish I would have been able to make it out. You asked me there a while back if I could come out for there was a celebration.
I'm trying to think of what it was, and I'm drawing a blank. But when you come out, I'll take you to Jim Morrison's old apartment, and you can get stoned there. It's amazing. It's amazing.
A few words and all.
But yeah, I loved it up there, and yeah, we were on set with for the season 10 of the Trailer Park Boys when you guys were filming it, and so Leigh, he took me up at the airport, I think, on a Thursday or something like that. And then he was like, okay, we're filming tomorrow. And I think it was called Truro or something like that. I can't remember. So we got up and went there, and I was kind of nervous because, I was a fan of the show, like most everybody. And, when we got there, they were filming, and I was like, oh God, are these guys going to be cool or, whatever. And man, they were the absolute nicest group of people that I have, ever met in my life. It was so amazing. And I remember a girl, after I met, the three guys, a girl came up and asked if I wanted to buy a raffle ticket for charity. And I said, yeah, of course, I'll buy one. So I bought one. And then a couple hours later, I was inside the tent watching something with the guys, and she came out and announced the winner. And she goes, Michael Strider? And I'll never forget, Mike Smith, Bubbles, obviously, goes, God damn it, he comes up here for fucking 1 hour and he wins the fucking whole pot of money? Are you kidding? So it was so funny. And I got they gave me the money, and I told Mike and Rob and the guys, I said, look, if you guys need to borrow any money, you just let me know. I'll let you guys borrow some money. Randy and Leigh, everybody was amazing. Amazing. He was such an incredible guy. He's like polar opposite of his character, Mr. Leahy. Everybody expects him to act like Leahy, but he was very, very quiet. Man, when I got the word the other day, I cried for like 3 days. It was just horrible because, the guy, his presence was so, I can't even explain it. It was amazing. And I told him about the project, the Life After project. And he told me that his brother had committed suicide, so he wanted to do something for the book. So we did photos. We did a shoot outside when they were doing the rap party. So I got some really amazing photos of him in and out of character. I'll never forget it. He was incredible. I didn't know him like you did, Leigh.
He'll be missed for sure. He, I got to really get to know him quite a bit there. Offset as well.
Right.
He gave me some great advice about acting. Yeah, he was just one of those guys that, once you meet him, he's never forget. Definitely have to get back up here for a visit, or me down to LA for sure.
I know. One or the other, right?
Yeah.
But guys, it's an honor to talk to you, and, always a pleasure to talk to you or hang out in person, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on to talk about the project and all the other crazy stuff that I've done.
So, guys, I think I would really like to dedicate the show to John Dunsworth, Mr. Leahy, as everybody knew him. It was such an amazing honor to meet him and to work with him, and like I said, I was just completely devastated when he passed away. Yes. So why don't we do a shot in remembrance of Mr. Leahy?
What is this?
Oh God!
This is homemade moonshine. Okay.
Well, I didn't make mine. I bought it at the store.
Here's to John.
pushing with their subtleties, and I can't stop laughing. You won't take me. You try with all your might, and I am not like them. I stand and fight, and living in the shadows with empty hands. They pick, they pry, they bite, not this man. And without provocation, they rob my soul, and I mistake